Welcome to the DH Beat, where Hilary and Sonja will give monthly tips to help you thrive in both your personal and professional lives.
To do a deeper dive into these concepts, check out our membership and consulting pages at thedheffect.com.
So, today we're going to settle into trust and what it means to trust. We actually oftentimes call ourselves trust catalysts, especially when we're going into companies, but also when we're working with individuals and families. It's this idea of getting really granular on what does it mean to trust and to be trustworthy, because that is truly the foundation for everything that we do together. It really is. So we're going to, is that?
Yeah, actually, I think trust is so core that anytime that you feel like, oh, there's a certain ick or I'm kind of stuck, if we challenge you, if you chisel down, give yourself to chisel down more to the core, we guarantee you it probably is an issue of trust, which is why it's so important.
It is. And it's so funny that you should say core, because a lot of times when we talk about trust, we start with people and they're like, oh, it's the other person. It's the other person. They're not trustworthy. But really, it's helpful to revisit with the four cores of credibility from Stephen M.R. Covey, which for those of you who are fans of Senior Covey, he's the one who wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Well, his son came out with the speed of trust. And there really is something to be said for how when we do, we know this really well. We work together so well. We trust each other implicitly. I know you've got my back. You've got my back. We don't have the misunderstandings. Don't you feel like we can get places faster?
Oh my gosh. And the more when it becomes innate, when we don't have to be we didn't have to practice a lot, but we do. Every relationship you have to practice. But then will tell you when it becomes kind of this automatic, the productivity, it's just amazing.
It really is. And that is what we're oftentimes, again, called in to do with companies and the rest of the people that we work with as well, be these trust catalysts, the starters of this. But you have to start out by understanding what is trust. And trust is really two parts. It's not just the character, and we tend to stop there. We think of it as character, period. You're trustworthy or not trustworthy. But how do we show that? And that's really the second piece of that. And it's your competencies. And so there's really 4 parts, and it starts by analyzing ourselves. So we have these 2 sections. And the character piece is made up of how you're really showing up. We talk about that a lot. Are you showing up with loyalty? Are you showing up with a decided heart? Are you showing up with all your virtues and being the best version of who you are? So that's the character piece. The second piece of that is your intent. Why are you showing up? What is it that you want? Do you have an agenda? Or are you being intentional? Do you have a purpose? There's a slight differentiation there. And as soon as somebody starts to question your motives, everything starts to fall apart, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. It's like, oh, wait. And then you think, why are my motives being questioned? Is it because this other person doesn't trust me? Or am I not being able to show this person that I do have intention?
Absolutely. And that's something, again, in fact, we're working with a company right now and we're studying this in detail and having these conversations. And we just had a really big conversation this week.
Oh, for sure.
Huge. And it was on the second half of trust, which is the competencies. So you come in and we tend to judge other people on their behavior, what we see them doing, which is really those skills and the capabilities and the results, and ourselves and our intent. Well, I meant to do it. Right. So we got really real with these people if they had to individually come to grips with the second half of trust, these competencies. Am I really skilled? Am I sharpening the saw? Am I learning more? Am I growing? Am I open to what other people have to teach me? Am I teaching others? Is there humility involved? All of these things, this growth mindset, right? I know. Big fans of that. And then the second part of that is the results. Oh, that was an eye opener for people.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're like, wait, but I'm calling the client. Great. Did you close the sale? One is the action, is the motion. I'm in motion. I'm doing things all the time. I'm busy. And the second is, but did you get it done? What was the final result? And would you hire you? Oh,
that's a big question.
It was a big question.
It's like, I'm showing up with my work ethic. Well, that's great, and I'm doing the things, but really the outcome really shows if you're doing the things well.
It does. It does. And it starts, and the whole thing around our theory, and actually the theories that are out there as well, is this all begins with self-assessment. It all starts with trust in relationships starts by, am I being trustworthy? Am I showing up in a trustworthy way, and really getting real with yourself on that? And that's what transitions into the interpersonal, the relationship trust. And you have such a great example of relationship trust.
We love, sharing an example. And so right now we work with families through a teenager's educational path, college admissions, what happens after high school. And whether you resonate with the story because you were once the teenager, or you are a parent raising a teen, or it doesn't have to be a teen, it can be of any age. But so we were working with this family, and the teen comes in. There's some trust issues, right? Conflict. There's ick going on in the family between mother and son. They couldn't really figure it out. But when we facilitated this, and the son's like, I'm so independent. So here's the integrity, right? Like Bobby is the teen. He wants to claim, I'm independent. Actually, I'm ready to move out tomorrow, and I'll be just fine. Well, this is an issue for mom. She doesn't have that trust yet. Why? Because mom is wondering what are the motives for him to claim this wanting to be independent and move out. She really wants to believe it, but she's micromanaging. So that's a whole lot of energy. When you're micromanaging, it's not a good feeling to oversee.
No, it's not just not a good feeling, but it actually communicates to the other person that you don't think they're capable. You don't trust them.
Yep. Well, what was happening is they lacked an agreement. Well, what does independence even look like? Yeah. As a parent, what would I like to see in you as you claim your independence? These are the things, and making it really transparent. So they had to work on an agreement of what that looked like. And so without an agreement, there is really no trust to build upon, right? And so that first part of character, the integrity intent, really has to align for these two. You can even think about it in the workplace. It could be an employee, a coworkers, or a supervisor, an employee. Interpersonal, really, there has to be that gel, right?
I think that's one of the number one things that we get called to do in companies as well. And it is that idea of a community agreement, because when you're coming with different ideas and philosophies and diverse backgrounds and cognitive diversity and so on, you're not intentionally trying to show up and be, at each other, but you're just coming from a different place. So getting on that same page with intent and with integrity, huge.
For sure. So then we go to that part two. So the great thing about the conversation is that we were able to kind of facilitate. And so we did help them build intent. What does independent look like for the teen son versus the mother? Did they agree upon that? And there was this nodding of agreement, which is that first step. And you can almost feel the energy of them leaning in. And so that part two, in terms of the intent, right? So the capabilities, well, these are the things that I would like to see as a mother in Bobby. It's the time management skills. I'm always calling on your behalf. I'm embarrassed when you don't return calls. So can you communicate better with other people in your life so I don't have to step in? That would be an amazing skill to develop. And also, if you are not in a rush with procrastination, this is not just a teen thing, folks. Procrastination. This is a society issue, right? Why do we wait to the last minute? And so that really makes other people nervous. And so we together was helping build a skill set with Bobby. What does time management look like for you? He's practicing. And over time, guess what? Mom starts to notice results. She is not having to follow up more often. And so it was, and now mom's not witnessing Bobby going to bed in the middle of the night because he's finishing things earlier. These are the stepping stones of letting, and we, in the parenting world, it's the letting go. Letting go doesn't happen when you move out your kid. It is a whole process of seeing this trust building, I call it seeing the evidence, but the skill set, the intent, everything's transparent. And then you can let this young person be the independent person he claims to be.
No, and the thing is, it translates so well, right, to business, because In the house, we call it micromanagement. I mean, you call it the same thing in business. We see it showing up as command and control.
Yeah.
But you get command and control as a parent too. I've been there before where I'm looking in the mirror at night and I'm like, oh, I did not do that well. That was about me controlling today. That was not trust and run. But the other party also needs to build the stepping stones of that trust as well. But what a great place to be when you are so thoroughly connected to one another and yourself that you're like, you've got this. I trust you. Go run.
Trust and run. I love that imagery.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the truth is that trust always starts with us when we are trustworthy, when we've really thought about our integrity and who we are. We show up as that consistently. When we really think about our intent and we ask ourselves going in, what is my motive? Do I have an agenda? Or do I have an intention to understand and be understood? It's very different. Am I making sure that I'm getting better every day with my skills, my capabilities? And finally, am I ultimately getting results so people know they can trust who I am?
So amazing. So hopefully this is helpful to you. What's that first building? I mean, I actually, the book, Speed of Trust, is a great book if you want to get started, or just reach out to us and figure out, this is where I'm at. This is where the ick is. We would love to help you kind of find that first step for you.
Absolutely. Because ultimately, when you choose to be trustworthy, when you have a decided heart moment and choose to be trustworthy, you are going to attract those who are also trustworthy to you. So model the way and you will love what you build around you.
Thanks for taking a beat with us.
Feel free to connect with us at thedheffect.com and schedule your complimentary discovery call to help you and your business thrive.
To ensure that you don't miss one amazing episode on the DH Effect and capture meaningful conversations with those living with a decided heart, why don't you go over and click that subscribe button on our YouTube channel? And for those audio listeners out there who love podcasts, why don't you pick your favorite podcast platforms like this one on Spotify? Go ahead and find that follow button, click on it, and never miss an episode.